I never thought I'd be the guy sitting here, typing out some long story about how my life got completely fucked over by the person I trusted the most. But here I am, and honestly, I don't even know where to start. My name's Jake, and I was with my wife, Lisa, for about 5 years before everything fell apart. We got engaged last year, and I genuinely believed we had something real. She always acted like she loved me, like I was the only one she wanted. We had our problems, sure, but nothing that seemed like a big deal, until I started noticing little things that didn't add up. It all started a few months ago. Lisa became distant. She'd come home late from work more often, and sometimes she'd dodge my questions or brush me off when I asked where she'd been. She'd tell me she was working late, meeting friends, or just needed space. I bought into it at first. I mean, people change, right? Maybe she was just stressed or overwhelmed, but I couldn't shake this feeling that something was off. She'd get defensive when I pushed her about her phone or her whereabouts. She'd snap and call me paranoid or insecure, which only made me feel more like I was losing my mind. Then, the little things started piling up. I noticed her phone would be unusually silent when I was around, or she'd quickly hide it if I came close. One night, I was sitting on the couch when I saw her slip her phone into her purse and double-check it before going to bed. I didn't think much of it at the time, but something about that stuck with me. That same week, I found a bunch of bizarre messages, short, flirtatious, not from her usual friends. Nothing explicit, but enough to make me uncomfortable. I asked her about them and she just shrugged it off, saying I was paranoid or reading too much into it. Honestly, I wanted to believe her. I wanted to trust her because I loved her. But the more I tried to ignore these signs, the more obvious it became that something was seriously wrong. Then came the day I found out the truth, or at least part of it. I was home early from work one day and decided to surprise her. I walked into our bedroom and saw her phone lying on the bed unlocked. I didn't mean to snoop, but I was desperate to find out what was really going on. That's when I saw the messages, flirty, intimate, full of double entendres. The kind of stuff that's not just friendly banter. It was with my best friend, Dave. That moment hit me like a freight train. I couldn't breathe. My heart was pounding and I felt this cold surge of rage and betrayal. How long had this been going on? How could Lisa, who used to say she loved me, be doing this with Dave, the guy I considered my brother? I stared at the screen for what felt like forever, trying to process what I was seeing. My mind was spinning. I never thought she'd cheat on me, especially not with my best friend. It's like the universe decided to kick me when I was down. I quietly backed out of the room, trying to hold it together. My hands were shaking. I went into the living room and just sat there, staring into space. I couldn't believe it. I kept asking myself how I hadn't seen this coming, how I'd missed all the signs. I felt sick, betrayed, devastated, not just because she cheated on me, but because she did it with someone I trusted implicitly. And Dave, my best friend, that was the real punch in the gut. For a second I wondered if it was just a fling, just some stupid mistake. But then I remembered the messages and the pregnancy test she took last week, which she tried to hide from me. That's when it clicked that this wasn't just a one-time thing. I had to confront her. I needed answers. I wanted to scream, to break something, to cry. But I just sat there, trying to hold myself together while my world crumbled around me. I knew I couldn't go on pretending everything was fine. Not anymore. And honestly, I didn't know what to do next. I was pretty sure the person I loved was gone, replaced by someone I didn't even recognize anymore. I waited a few hours before I could even think about confronting her. My mind was racing, trying to piece everything together. What I saw, what it meant, what I wanted to do about it. I kept going over those messages, the timing, the way she lied about everything. Before, I felt like I was living in some bad nightmare I couldn't wake up from. I knew I had to face her, but honestly, I was terrified of what would happen. I didn't want to believe I'd been so blind, so naive to her lies. But deep down, I knew that if I didn't confront her now, I'd never get the truth. When she finally came home that evening, she was acting weird, more bitchy than usual, snapping at me for no reason, avoiding eye contact. I didn't say anything right away. I needed to see if she'd slip up, if she'd reveal herself without me even asking, but I couldn't hold it in anymore. I looked her straight in the eyes and said, "Lisa, I saw the messages, the ones between you and Dave." Her face instantly froze, her eyes darting away for a second before she forced a smile. But it was a fake smile, the kind that's supposed to hide everything. "Oh, that," she said, brushing it off. "It's nothing. Just silly jokes, Jake. You're reading into it too much." She laughed nervously, trying to act like it was no big deal. But her voice cracked and her hands trembled slightly. I wasn't buying it. I felt my blood boil. I told her I knew she'd been lying for weeks, that I'd seen her sneaking around, hiding her phone, and that I had enough. That I'd seen her messages with Dave and I knew what they meant. Her reaction, she rolled her eyes, threw her head back and said, "Oh, please, you're overreacting. Dave's been feeling lost, like he's not himself. I was just trying to help him find his way, okay? We weren't doing anything wrong. Just talking, that's all." She said it so casually, like she thought she could lie her way out of it, but I wasn't stupid. I knew her words were bullshit. That's when I saw her face twist into her usual bitchy mask, defensive, angry, and dismissive. I told her I wasn't buying her bullshit anymore, that I'd seen enough and I wasn't going to be a fool. I felt this overwhelming mix of rage and heartbreak. My mind was screaming, asking how she could do this, how she could lie so effortlessly, and what I'd ever done to deserve this betrayal. She looked at me with that fake smile, trying to convince me she was innocent, but I could see through her. She was good at lying, I'll give her that. But the truth was written all over her face. She was pregnant and she'd been screwing my best friend behind my back. The weight of it all hit me like a ton of bricks. I felt this urge, this burning need to make her see how much she'd screwed me over. I told her she was a bitch, that I trusted her more than anyone, and that she'd destroyed everything we had. She just shrugged and said, "It's not what you think, Jake. You're overreacting. I don't know what you want me to say." That's when I saw the true her, cold, manipulative, and completely selfish. She was lying and she knew it. I could see her trying to spin it, trying to convince herself she was innocent, but I wasn't falling for it anymore. I was done. The way she dismissed my feelings, the way she lied to my face, it made me realize that everything I believed in was gone. I spent the night staring at the ceiling, feeling like I'd just lost my soul. How do you keep going when your entire world turns upside down in a single moment? How do you process that the woman you loved, the woman you proposed to, was sleeping with your best friend and hiding it all from you? It's like everything I thought I knew about her, about us, was just a lie. I kept asking myself if I'd been blind all along, if I was just a fool for trusting her. That night, I made a decision. I couldn't stay with her anymore. I didn't want to be around a woman who lied so easily, who cheated and then lied some more. I knew I had to get out, even if it meant losing her forever. I packed a bag, told her I needed space, and left her standing there, still trying to deny everything. But deep inside, I knew the worst was yet to come. This wasn't just about cheating. It was about betrayal on a level I never thought possible. And now, I had to figure out how to pick up the pieces of a broken life. The days that followed were a blur. I couldn't sleep, couldn't eat, and everything in my world felt like it had been turned inside out. Every time I closed my eyes, I saw her face, her smirk, her dismissiveness. I replayed that night over and over, trying to find some way I could have seen it coming, some sign I missed. But the truth was, I was too blind. I trusted her completely, and that trust had been shattered into a million tiny pieces. The worst part was the pregnancy. I found out from her own words. She told me she was pregnant during one of our arguments. She said she was helping Dave find himself, remember, like it was some noble gesture, but the way she said it, so callous and cold, made my stomach turn. She claimed she was just trying to be there for him, that it wasn't about sex, that it was just emotional support. Seriously, emotional support that resulted in a goddamn pregnancy. That's the biggest load of bullshit I've ever heard. And I knew she was lying. She was pregnant, and I was left sitting there, feeling more betrayed than ever. I felt like I was drowning. My mind kept spinning with questions. How long had this been going on? Was it just once, or had it been going on for months? Did she really think she could lie her way out of this? I also started questioning myself, wondering if I'd missed all the signs, if I'd been so caught up in trying to make our relationship work that I didn't see her slipping away. It hurt so much to think I'd been so blind. I kept replaying the moments when she acted off, the little lies she told, the way she dodged my questions. All of it now made sense, and I hated myself for not seeing it sooner. One thing was clear: she wasn't taking any responsibility. She kept insisting she was helping him find himself, like that justified everything. That she was just a good friend, a loyal person who'd only been trying to support Dave. But I knew better. That support had turned into something else, something dirty. I could see it in her eyes when she said she was pregnant. There was no remorse, no guilt, just a bitchy attitude, like I was supposed to accept her bullshit and move on. I couldn't handle it. I was angry, furious even. I wanted to scream at her too, shake her to make her see how much she'd hurt me. But I also felt a deep sadness, like I'd lost the woman I thought I knew, the woman I loved. Maybe I'd been fooling myself all along. Maybe I was just a fool for trusting her in the first place. But even through the anger and sadness, I knew I couldn't just walk away without doing something. I needed a plan, a way to get revenge, to make her see that she couldn't get away with what she'd done. That's when I started thinking about how to turn her own lies against her. If she wanted to play the victim, I'd make her regret it. I wasn't just going to walk away and let her move on like everything was normal. No, I wanted her to feel what I felt: betrayed, humiliated, and broken. I started digging into her phone, going through her emails, her social media, anything that could give me leverage. I wanted to gather proof, evidence that I could use to expose her for the lying, cheating bitch she was. And I wasn't alone in this. I reached out to some of my friends, told them what was happening. They told me to confront her again, to call her out in front of everyone if I had to. But I knew that wasn't enough. I wanted to hit her where it hurts: her reputation, her lie of a perfect life. I started planning how to do that carefully, without giving her a chance to spin her web of lies again. I realized that if I wanted real revenge, I had to be smart about it. I had to make her see that her actions had consequences, that she couldn't just cheat and lie and expect everything to be fine. In some sick way, I felt a little better just plotting it out. It gave me a sense of control, knowing I wasn't just going to sit around feeling sorry for myself. I was going to fight back. I was going to make her regret ever crossing me. But I also knew that this wasn't just about revenge anymore. It was about reclaiming my dignity, about figuring out what I really wanted from my life after all this chaos. I still loved her. Part of me maybe always would. But I was starting to realize I deserved more than a wife who fucked my best friend and then lied to my face. God, I never thought I'd be in this place. I never thought I'd see the woman I loved turn into this manipulative, selfish bitch. But here I was, and I wasn't going down without a fight. The more I thought about it, the clearer it became that I couldn't just pack up and leave without making her feel the pain she'd inflicted on me. If she thought she could just lie, get pregnant, and walk away like nothing had happened, she was dead wrong. I started working on my plan piece by piece. First, I gathered every piece of evidence I could find: screenshots of her messages, emails, even some photos I secretly took. I wanted to have everything in my corner before I made my next move. At the same time, I kept my cool around her. I didn't want her to see how much this was affecting me, though I'm sure she knew. Her attitude was worse: bitchy, dismissive, like she was already trying to gaslight me into thinking I was overreacting. I'd tell her I was hurt, that I felt betrayed, and she'd say I was being paranoid or that I was making everything about myself. That only fueled my anger. I knew her game now. She was a master manipulator, good at making herself look innocent while she was clearly the one at fault. One night I finally snapped. I told her I knew about the affair, the pregnancy, everything. Her reaction: she just looked at me with that fake, bitchy smirk. She told me I was crazy, that I was seeing ghosts, that I was just jealous and insecure. She said, "Jake, you need to calm down. This isn't what you think. Dave and I are just friends. And the pregnancy, well, it's not even yours. I did the test myself, and I'm telling you, it's not your kid." Her words hit me like a punch to the stomach. I didn't believe her then, but I also knew she was capable of lying her ass off. That's when I decided enough was enough. I wasn't going to let her lie her way out of this. I told her I was going to tell everyone the truth about her cheating, her pregnancy, Dave. I wanted her to lose everything: her reputation, her friends, everything she thought she could manipulate. I wanted Her to see she couldn't just lie and walk away scot-free. I don't know if I was trying to hurt her or just hurt her back for all the pain she caused me, but I was determined. I told her I'd expose her, and I'd make sure everyone knew what a lying, cheating bitch she really was. She started crying then, which surprised me. Not because I cared, but because it was the first time I saw genuine emotion from her that wasn't just bitchy or manipulative. She begged, said she was sorry, that she didn't mean for it to get this far, but I didn't buy it. Sorry wasn't enough. Not anymore. I remember her trying to blame me, saying I was distant, that I didn't pay enough attention to her, that she was just lost and confused. But I knew the truth. She was lost and confused because she was cheating on me with my best friend and lying about it all. I told her I was done. Done listening to her bullshit. Done pretending I didn't see what was right in front of me. I told her she'd ruined us, and I was going to make sure. She paid for it. I even started thinking about getting a lawyer, because I didn't just want to leave her. I wanted to make her regret ever crossing me. I wanted her to feel what it was like to be betrayed by the person she loved and lied to, and to see her lose everything because of it. That's what revenge looked like in my head. It wasn't just about hurting her. It was about making her understand she couldn't cheat and lie her way through life without consequences. While she kept trying to gaslight me, I was busy planning my next move. I called some friends, asked for advice, made sure I had all my ducks in a row. I knew I couldn't just confront her again and hope she'd come clean. No, I needed to go all the way. I also started documenting every interaction, every lie she told, every excuse she made. I was determined to make her see that I wasn't the fool she thought I was. I had to be smart about this, because I knew if I made one mistake, she'd spin it to her advantage, and I'd be the one looking like the crazy, jealous husband. Honestly, it took everything I had not to break down. The anger, the heartbreak, the betrayal, it was all too much. But I kept telling myself that if I wanted justice, I had to be cold, calculated, and ruthless. I couldn't let her get away with this. I had to make her understand that she had destroyed something real, and now she'd have to pay. I didn't want her just to feel guilty. I wanted her to regret ever messing with my life. That's what made me keep going through the rage and despair, knowing I'd come out of this stronger, or at least with some sort of dignity intact. The days turned into weeks, and my plan started taking shape. I spent hours every day gathering evidence, texts, emails, photos, anything that proved how deep she'd gone. I also reached out to a few close friends I trusted, people who knew about the situation and could help me figure out my next steps. I told them everything about Lisa's lies, the pregnancy, Dave, and how I was feeling, broken, furious, and lost. They told me I needed to confront her again, but this time I had to be prepared. I knew she'd lie, manipulate, and try to turn the tables on me. That's exactly what she was good at. One night I told her I wanted to talk. I knew she'd try to brush me off, act as if nothing was wrong, but I was done playing nice. I sat her down, looked her in the eyes, and let her see the fury I'd been holding back. "Lisa," I said, voice steady but cold, "I've seen enough. I know about the affair, the pregnancy, everything. And I want the truth. No more lies, no more bullshit." Her face immediately hardened, that bitchy sneer creeping back. She rolled her eyes and said, "Oh, Jake, you're just overreacting. You're insecure. Dave's been feeling lost, and I was just trying to help him. That's all. The pregnancy. Yeah, I'm pregnant, but it's not even your kid. I did the test myself. It's Dave, obviously." She crossed her arms, looking smug, like she thought she'd somehow convince me she was innocent. But I knew better. I had enough proof to bury her under a mountain of lies. I pulled out my phone, showed her the screenshots of the messages, the emails, everything I had collected. Her eyes widened for a second, then she quickly regained her composure. She looked at me like I was a damn fool for believing any of it. "That's not what it looks like," she muttered. "You're just jealous because I'm pregnant. You're trying to control me." That was the last straw. I looked at her and said, "You think I don't know what you're doing? You're just trying to manipulate me into thinking I'm crazy, but I've got the proof. I know about your affair with Dave. I know about the pregnancy. And I know you lied to me from the start." I could see her blinking rapidly, trying to come up with a new lie, but I wasn't going to let her get away with it. I told her I was done with her games, that I was going to tell everyone what she really was, what she'd done. Her reaction. She started crying, not tears of remorse, but tears of anger and defiance. She screamed that I didn't understand, that I was just jealous and insecure, and that I was the one at fault for pushing her away. She called me controlling, jealous, and said was ruining her life. Honestly, I was beyond caring about her excuses anymore. I just wanted her out of my life to make her feel the pain she'd inflicted on me. I threatened to expose her to everyone, our friends, her family, anyone who would listen. I told her I'd ruin her if I had to because she deserved it. That night she stormed out, slamming the door behind her, and I sat there in silence. I felt a strange mix of relief and emptiness. I'd finally confronted her with the truth, but I also knew that things would never be the same. She might have thought she'd won some battle with her tears and lies, but I knew I'd won the war. I'd taken control back, even if it came at the cost of everything I'd believed in. I made a vow then, that I wouldn't let her destroy me, that I'd fight to rebuild my life from the wreckage she'd left behind. In the days that followed, I started planning how to move on. I made appointments with lawyers, looked into how to separate everything, our house, our money, the evidence I had collected. I knew I couldn't just walk away and pretend this had never happened. I had to make her face the consequences of her actions. I also cut ties with Dave. The betrayal was too deep, and I didn't want any part of that toxic, broken relationship anymore. I realized that I was better off alone than with someone capable of hurting me so deeply. Looking back now, I see how this whole nightmare was a wake-up call. I learned that trusting blindly can ruin you, that some people are just good at hiding their true selves, and that no matter how much you love someone, they can betray you in ways you never imagined. I also learned that revenge, proper, thought-out revenge, can give you some sense of justice, even if it doesn't heal the pain entirely. It's about reclaiming your dignity, standing tall, and making sure they know they didn't break you, even if they tried. So that's where I stand now. I'm still healing, still picking up the pieces, but I'm stronger than I was before. And if there's one thing I'd say to anyone in my shoes, trust your gut, gather your proof, and don't be afraid to fight for yourself. Because if you don't stand up for your own dignity, nobody else will. Looking back now, I realize just how much I was fooling myself for so long. I kept telling myself that maybe Lisa would change, that she'd come back to her senses, that she'd see how much she was hurting everyone. But deep down, I knew she'd been lying from the start. Her bitchy attitude, her manipulative ways, they weren't just some phase. They were who she was. And the pregnancy, that was the final nail in the coffin. It wasn't just her messing around. It was her deliberately crossing every line, making sure I'd be left in ruins. The worst part, the feeling that I'd wasted so much time, so many years, thinking I was building a life with someone I loved. How do you come back from that? How do you look at the person who once meant everything to you and realize they never really cared? It's a brutal wake-up call, one that leaves you questioning everything about yourself, about your judgment, about love. And yet somehow I'm still standing. I'm still breathing, still trying to figure out what's next. I've learned a lot from all of this, mostly that I should trust my instincts more, and that no matter how much you want to believe in fairy tales, sometimes reality is cruel. The betrayal cut so deep that I doubt I'll ever fully recover, but I refuse to let her win completely. I've decided to move forward, to rebuild from the ashes. I've cut out the toxic people in my life, started therapy, and am focusing on myself for the first time in years. It's not easy, but it's necessary. And honestly, I feel a strange sense of relief. The weight that's been dragging me down for so long is finally lifting. I don't have to pretend anymore. I don't have to look into her bitchy eyes and lie to myself that everything is fine. I've faced the truth, and I've made my peace with it, no matter how ugly or painful. Life goes on, and I owe it to myself to find happiness again, even if it takes time. To anyone reading this who's going through something similar, know that you're not alone. Betrayal hurts like hell, but you're stronger than you think. Trust your gut, gather your evidence, and don't be afraid to walk away from what's toxic. Sometimes the only way to heal is to cut out the poison and start fresh. This story isn't just about heartbreak, it's about reclaiming your power and dignity. And in the end, that's what matters most.